Just another brief moment in time when we get to see the change of the tides. The shifted, twisted bit technology showcasing the little bits of safety, while the quick trips are surely randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat, yo. When the photons ignite, highlighting, yo, then you know it's that time when we force a change in tides. A little bit lined with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you needin'. Perhaps it's that simple message you searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing us for the next adventure in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon fake, and reduce the rate while we mine our major bags. Crypto technology like cryptographic money will hash in your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter cause it's time for 3D changes perspectives. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Well, welcome everybody to the show. That's right. I'm 3D, and this is 3D Changes Perspectives. So you see what we're talking about. We are going to ask the questions that are being asked. Well, okay. Vibe coded and security. Flaw together stays together. What does that really mean? Well, we've been covering vibe coding for a little bit now, and I've mentioned multiple times that many AI cannot code secure elements, and I feel that was a bit misleading. So we're going to go over AI and security as a bundle. Now, I won't be specifically asking, is AI capable of performing secure code? I'll be looking into, well, a few different perspectives instead. And so let's dive into the partnerships and the partnerships. So I want to thank today's network partnerships. I want to thank The Organized for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting DB, because Bitcoin Live DB and The Organized is a powerhouse combo. I see new heights for the organization. And now, if you haven't checked out any of The Organized early morning broadcasts for stacks and other topics that seems to be taking off with every morning they go daily, find them on X and pretty much anywhere you can view this right now except for Odyssey. All right, now I want to thank today's sponsor. So I want to thank Shield Folio. Hold on a second. Wait. Yep. I want to thank Shield Folio for sponsoring today's episode from within a quantum bit, as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't seen a Shield Folio, they're a little black book that are made from stone paper, so they are fade resistant, tear resistant, and even water resistant. So you know the info and secrets you store in your Shield Folio will last and survive whatever you throw at it. I personally have a Shield Folio, and I use it for my website info, contacts, crypto keys, among other things. So these are like little black books that are pocket sized, ready to be by your side, regardless of your adventure in real life or online. And I'm dead serious. I actually have one of these. I do use it for exactly what I said here, like my website info, anything I don't want on my computer or online, I put in this book instead. And so I know it will go with me anywhere I go. Now we're going to go ahead and roll in with the roll-ins before we roll in. And thank you again, Shield Folio, for sponsoring today's episode. So if you jump over, use the QR code on the screen, you can actually go to their main website. They got a whole bunch of different things. The Shield Folio being the awesome sauce. And now they do have like little index cards and other things you can get that have the same paper, so you can get that same security. And then you can use the code BitcoinLive20, get 20% off your purchase today. So go ahead, and at any point in time, you notice there's going to be a QR code on the bottom of the screen. You can actually scan that throughout today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for after the episode, jump back, get the big one, scan it, and go ahead and jump in and see what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the actual episode. So, well, welcome to the photon of the greater fourth dimensions quantum machine. So let's go ahead and get something actually on your screen. Boom. Here we go. Okay. I'm sorry. So throughout today's episode, you're going to see us have this little thing right here. So this will show you wherever we're at. Like, for example, we're on the Deorganized Media's website right here. This is their YouTube. As you can see, they go live almost every day. They got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Tons of things. So find them for their digitally hookup on what's popping. I messed that completely up. Oh well, I'm gonna keep going. Alright, so today's free pre-search query is, can AI code secure elements? So, like always, I did not use this query in today's episode research, but that doesn't mean we don't have some overlapping links. If anything about today's episode interests you, this free pre-search query should actually help you find more about this. So just replay after the show, catch this keyword to, jump into the more of it. Okay, so basically we're going to catch up real fast on a couple things. So I kind of briefed over, and I've said many times, basically, I have said the exact phrase, AI cannot code secure elements. And what that really comes from is two general perspectives, like a logical business strat in it's basically in generalized perspective. And, what does that really mean? Lawsuit prevention. But then the second thing is, I've actually tried across multiple AIs to build secure elements. And it's basically, I haven't been able to get the AI to do it directly on its own to this point. So one of the data points that I've kind of kept away from everybody is that I am generalizing over public, available, open resourced AI. And by open resourced, I mean that it doesn't use private or local models. It means that it used web scrape data or data purchased from database of models. The important part in here is that you can't just use your own models. Okay, these are AIs where you cannot just use your own local models. You can't just use your own local database. You are stuck using some public database you have no control over. And I think that's like an important distinguishing factor here, because a lot of people who are building programs and all these other things, they're not using public AI. They're using local AIs with local models that most people are not going to have their hands to get access to. Okay, so much of what we will cover, again, it's going to be local AIs running over an API for what we call back home, back end. So the user can actually just run an AI on a small device. This is basically how you see people running AI on everything. Like, this is how they do it, is they actually just run it through an API. So we're going to be basically covering those as our main source, just because that's like the most common AI, and the ones that do really good code, that's how you access them. So this is going to be a stark difference where we normally only talk about like, how we normally talk about local AI, local stuff. So and we normally only use these public facing AIs for like price points. But today we're actually going to hyper focus on these. So this is going to be, I think, a lot more relatable for most people. And this is going to be a lot more relatable than some of the other stuff we've talked about. And like always, I'm going to start with tragedy. That is my thing. I do believe, I shouldn't say I believe, I heard that Shakespeare and Disney started this way too, always starting with tragedy. So here is a third-party vendor that works with AI, or OpenAI, my bad. Specifically, among other API connection along services. So what I'm saying is, we're going to talk about something that is the third-party vendor for OpenAI, whom also is a third-party vendor for tons of API services. We're going to be talking about something called Mixpanel, which Mixpanel is specifically for companies to find out information about users or companies or things using their API. So basically, Mixpanel was hacked, and oh boy, it was hacked. But like, how, what, why, when, right? Like, that's really what you guys want to know. So we're going to kind of brief over this article. The recent Mixpanel incident open to OpenAI or connected to OpenAI API accounts is a clear reminder that even not critical metadata leaks can introduce real security exposure. So this is a non-critical metadata leak and introduced real security exposure. This was not a breach inside OpenAI. It was an analytics vendor issue. Yet the downstream risk applies to every engineering team relying on the external tools to support their API stack. So this version focused purely on information. Okay, so what they're saying is this article, and at the time there was a lot of stuff going around, but not a whole lot of people could understand what's going on. And eventually, OpenAI actually came out with something. I believe we have that later. So just hold on. So mixed panel detected unauthorized access to a portion of their analytics environment. Basically, an attacker exploited the dataset, including metadata like OpenAI's API users, among other things. The exposed accounts include the exposed fields. Sorry. What these are the things that they're saying were in fields that were definitely exposed. Account name, email, basic location from the browser. I love how it says course, because that means not your finite direct location, but it's pretty damn close. Operating system, browser information, referring websites, organization, or user identifiers. That means like your Google identifiers, anything like that. So any cookie used to identify you is going to be used. Any fingerprinting system is going to be seen. Now they said this site is saying there is no exposure of the following, and what this site means, is that the data directly obtained directly from the mixed panel leak does not show to contain these specific systems: API keys, chat logs, API usage data, credentials, payment details, OpenAI internal systems. So, now we're not going to keep going through this, right? Yeah, we're not. There's no reason to keep going through this. That's the part that actually I wanted to spot. I wanted to point out. First, yeah, a vendor who has nothing to do with OpenAI, that is just used to get back-end information about users. Like the stuff they are designed to get is this stuff right here. The problem is the API that was like people were also able to view live data. Let's be honest. Live data is not in either one of these things, because they can't tell if it was exposed. Live data is exposed all the time, so they don't have a system that can say, oh yeah, this was being viewed at this time to this time. They don't have that, so they can't put that down anywhere, because they can't put it down saying there was no exposure of live data, because there was, and they can't put down that it was an exposed field, because it's not a field. Okay, how do we know live data was exposed? We'll show you soon. First off, how is this bad? Okay, how did some third-party company that has nothing to do with OpenAI, how did that leak of information inside their environment? Okay, so keep in mind that that was done inside their API infrastructure environment. So someone was inside their system, actively, openly watching, doing. Well, how's that bad? Well, Pornhub might have had some, information there as well. So keep in mind, this is like one of the few public informations I could find about things that happened behind the hack. Basically, anything that happened as a result of this hack is being like heavily not allowed to be publicized. So there was information that could be found that I'm not allowed legally to tell you guys about it. So this is one of the few things I could find that I can legally tell you guys about. And it's not much of anything, right? It's just, oh, well, Pornhub's information was stolen. So third-party analytics provider, Mixed Panel, suffered a security breach following an SMS phishing attack. They're calling that a smishing attack now. So the incident resulted in unauthorized access to historical analytics data, including sensitive user activity records from Pornhub Premium. So remember that list of information that was shown fields or whatever. So Pornhub Premium members, those fields, those Pornhub Premium members were also shown. The threat activity group, Shiny Hunters. So we know who did it. We know who's claiming it. We know who's saying they have it. They've also like shown data points of records and stuff. But okay, it's not just your records of search, but your watch history and your download activity, right? So, like with the Pornhub, we can see there are more things than what they claim, which means there is some amount of live data being used. All this information, like anything you're passing through that API, is passing through that API. Anything that you pass through that AI is going through that API, and that's actually really effing important, because there is always live data attached to the back of that API. In a lot of companies, they put some kind of hash on it or whatever, but a lot of times that hash isn't actually secure, and it's done like that on purpose. So that way it can be so it can be unwrapped, and so it can be used very quickly and easily. So now here, they have, obviously, I mean, not obviously, oddly, they have a little bit more information on the actual attack, like what service and things like that, stuff that we don't normally have. So it's kind of nice. But I do believe that was actually given by Shiny Hunters, actually told about this. And then we can see here, okay, so I should read this whole thing. Shiny Hunters began exploiting the mixed panel customers, including Pornhub, by sending emails threatening to publish the stolen data unless a ransom was paid. The extortion activity is mapped to these military attacks, but it's a specific type of a technique called the T1486. So, data encrypted for impact extortion, which this is the link to that. I don't even know why they're providing that. This group has a documented history of targeted SAS servers. That's going to be hard for me to say. But most people know that it's like, I don't actually know what it stands for. I don't care. It's something as a service. But as we see here, it's basically an exploitation Oracle Business A suit. Or why is it written like that? It is a 0-day, okay, Oracle business suit. So it's targeting Java systems. And it's the Shiny Spiner ransomware as a service, which that's a RAAS. So SAAS. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But as we see, they're going over unusual comms channels. But yeah, I don't think there's anything really super special. It was like really recent though. Like this is like insanely recent. Some of this was just reported. Pornhub issued a statement on December 12th. The actual incident happened on November 8th, 2025. This literally just happened a couple of months ago. And people are still dealing with this to this day. Okay. So now we know why it's bad. So, what does OpenAI have to say? So basically, OpenAI is not going to really have information on what happened. They're going to be told information from Mixpanel, but honestly, Mixpanel is going to have the most amount of information. And they even point out here that basically OpenAI is not admitting to what was seen, exploited, exported, or anything. They're saying what Mixpanel says was observed were these things. And that's really important. OpenAI ain't going to have any clue about any of that anyway. So, and if you go through here, what should you keep in mind? The information that you have been affected here could be used as part of the phishing or social engineering attacks of your organization. Since names, email addresses, OpenAI API metadata, including user IDs, were included. So we encourage you to remain vigilant. the unexpected emails and messages with caution. Double check any messages going to be from OpenAI. So, okay. Well, so what's this? So what is this? All right. So this is an article thing that I'm unfortunately sorry to only find out late in their game. But basically, we're gonna brief this fairly short article that's basically just dev stuff. Like the name of this is Bizarro Devs, and you can see the link right there, bizarrodevs.wtshout.com. And I think this one was worth showing you guys the real website. Because it's set up, kind of like a form. It almost looks like a Twitter post. I mean, nice. So, welcome to July 2025. Okay, I'm going to go back. I do not like this. I got that. Okay. Welcome to July 2025. So, this was just a few months ago. Your quirky tech newsletter. Before we get into the stories, I have an important to share something about this site that's unfortunate. So, new breakthrough through the AI method test code in real time. Okay, just a few months ago, there was a new breakthrough in AI method test coding in real time. It beats GPT-4. So, this is actually stuff that people just started coming out with, like, last month. OpenAI just started talking about having this. Copilot just started talking about having this. Gemini just started talking about having this. Grok hasn't talked about having this, but they have this. And I say that meaning like you see obvious points of it, but it's not fully working. So then they're going to talk about McDonald's scraps drive-through AI after bacon ice cream debacle. And then AI researchers hunt for some clean pre-2022 data. Now, that's actually really oddly important. They're hunting for clean data before 2022. And that's really important. Basically, a law or something was placed in 2022, so they can't get to data after 2022 unless they really pay, So before 2022, there's a lot more data, and we need data to train the AI, so super important. So the lead story is actually very fascinating and hasn't gotten the attention in the wider press. Okay, so a few months ago, vibe coding took the internet by storm as the popularity has grown and it's just become justifiable, criticisms, blah, blah. But recently, a group of researchers produced a new system that may put vibe coding criticisms to bed, dubbed the Execution Guided Classifier Free Guidance, or the EGCFG for short. It addresses the fundamental problem of using AI to code, which is prone to errors. So instead of generating complete programs, it crosses its, by crossing its fingers, the EGCFG writes code line by line, actually executing and testing each piece as it goes. It generates several possible next links, runs them against test cases, see which ones work, and use that feedback to guide what comes next, basically. This mirrors human programming testing. Sort of testing. This is basically how humans do all their code, is exactly in that manner. That's exactly how humans code. They slowly learn what lines of code work best, use those lines, figure out by testing them against themselves, by creating test pieces, and then seeing which one actually works best, keep that in mind, tracking that data, and then using that every time they go back to that point, or data, or type of code point. So, for real, legit, that's how we do it. The performance jump in testing has been massive. Using only open source DeepSeek models, which Grok uses a lot of DeepSeek. EGCFG hits 96% accuracy on MBPP coding tasks. So 87% on extended human evil tests. Now, see, MBPP coding tasks don't matter to me. See, I get why they want to do that test. I mean, look at that accuracy, 96% on an MBPP. But the problem is, MBPP is the best way to put it, that's like automated and technical tasks that we build once and forget that the code exists after that. It's it works anyways. So unless you build code for the wrong machine or something, it's just not gonna work, right? So but it says here, look, ChatGPT had 87% in this area. Now we got 96, which is actually really good. Now, 87% on the human eval test. This is the part that matters. Human evaluation test. That's what human eval. Human evaluation. It means humans looked at it, and said, ooh. I want to point out the human evaluation tests for this new technique is about as good as ChatGPT could do the easiest form of coding. So, 58% on competitive programming problems, where ChatGPT could only get 34% on the competitive programming problems. They don't actually tell us what ChatGPT got on human eval tests. From my understanding, ChatGPT 4 on human eval test was something like 19%. It was super low. But I can't find proof of what that number actually was, because it was bad. This is the best one right here. In case you're wondering, competitive programming problems is like what they do like at DEF CON. It's kind of how that is. So, making brand new functions out of thin air and stuff like that. So the best part of this is that all these results came from open source models that anyone can access. Whoop! Anyone can access. Not proprietary systems costing millions to train. The research has provided that the smart techniques can beat raw computational power. That's a first. This is a first for coding techniques. Their system also naturally supports parallel processing, where multiple agents explore different coding approaches simultaneously. So why is this really important? The research proved that smart techniques can beat raw computational power. Right now, the biggest AI companies in the world, OpenAI, NVIDIA, I don't know them all, but the other ones too. They are all saying more computational power equals more AI. And that's kind of stemming from the whole Bitcoin thing, because Bitcoin proved that hash rate is a security model. And for some reason, people running AI believe that if it is true in Bitcoin, it must be true for AI. They're not the same. That ain't true. So don't believe that crap. So what we're really looking at is these people are actually proving that just literally having a smarter system, smarter techniques, and better algorithms running your models that actually beats raw computational power. That means that for programming, you can have smaller devices perform bigger AI tasks in raw coding. That's what that really means. So, like before, where it was like, oh, I need more GPUs and more GPUs to perform the same task as the models get more complex. This is saying if you had better algorithms running your models, that would not have to be true. So the EGCFG could be the reliability upgrade vibe coding has been desperately needing since its inception. If AI code assistants can actually test their own work line by line, then it could transform vibe coding from fun but risky to genuinely practical. Now, believe it or not, I have been saying that vibe coding has been genuinely practical. I've been saying this for 2 months now. And I hate to be honest, I did not know this EGCFG thing was hiding in the background for the last 2 months. I did not know this. And it just happened to be that I been watching it and watching it and saw the stark change, and it made me go, oh, what's up? What's this? And it turns out that's what this was this whole time. This is EGCFG this whole time. All right, so now we're gonna get to the McDonald's thing, which I think is kind of important here. AI company CEOs keep insisting that AGI is just around the corner and millions of jobs will be automated on the way in the next few years. See here. Like literally, you guys want to see where that's at? Jump into the QMR and we're going to find out. Excuse me while I drink some coffee. Now, I know, like, my AI model is not running, like, my VTuber is not running, but I'll be honest with you. Like, I can pull up the little thingy on my thingy. I don't even know if it's gonna work on you guys' end. You guys can see, yeah, you guys can see that. Even though I have no pants. I mean, I have pants. For some reason, that this algorithm thinks my pants is my legs, and that's probably because I used a leg model to create my pants. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened, but I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it. This is something I'm going to have to fix. Believe it or not, I'm running this on Linux, and as you see, I just told it to drop down below, and it's having problems keeping attention during that time frame. Well, I might have to see if we can insert this EGCFG type of stuff. Gosh darn. I know that's not the same thing, but I'm just saying, like, this is an actually good, really good AI. So we're about to read something that has to do with old AI. Okay, old AI. So McDonald's just pulled the plug on their drive-thru AI system after 5 years of testing. The reason why might make you feel better about human job security. It turns out that despite the hype, McDonald's revolutionary, and keep in mind, it was the top of the top of the line American AI models. Just not very good, by the way. Had a bunch of issues, including a woman trying to order caramel ice cream, getting multiple portions of butter added to her bill instead. I read this, and I used to be an overnight manager for a franchise of McDonald's, and I used to handle all of their computers. I used to handle all of their not electronics, but the digital side of the electronics. I used to handle the touch screens and the like your point of sale system. I dealt with that all the time. I used to do, when I was in school, I used to do stuff for macros, and actually I used to help build and design touchscreen systems for companies. So I've gone in for who was it? Taco Mayo. I've gone into local Taco Mayos for the franchise owners and redid their entire menu screens to handle they have these newer systems where you can like pick two for so much or something like that, and little things like that. So I've gone in and done a bunch of work with these, and I remember them like McDonald's having this strange ass policy where certain things were not on the menu, and you were instructed to like charge butter or to charge like certain simple little things that, like, if it was a dairy product, you would charge a slightly different dairy product that cost about the same. So like the ideal here was they wanted to charge the customer equivalently, and not overcharge the customer. They wanted to not, that was the important part here. And the AI was trained on this, obviously, because dead serious. Say, I want caramel ice cream, right? It's just a scoop of ice cream with some caramel on top. It's literally a sundae. That's it. But I don't want the nuts. Instead, I want a little bit more ice cream. Well, they don't have a scoop. It's just like a machine, right? Pull the lever, let it come out. So there's no way to charge that. Well, we can charge you, I think it's 6 butters per 2 seconds of pull. So if we sit there and the customer is like, nah, put more in, and they go pull that 2-3 more seconds, we can charge you for that. Like, we have to. I mean, they charge you for ketchup and stuff like, and packets. Well, no, maybe not ketchup, but like barbecue sauce and crap. So, yeah, we can charge you for that. So that's what this actually is. The problem is the AI realized it was just easier to just charge all caramel ice cream, because most people who get caramel ice cream don't want the nuts, or there's something on there they don't want. I don't remember what it was, but there's something on there they don't want, and they almost always want to replace it with extra ice cream or extra caramel. I mean, that's the other thing it might be. The AI realized, hey, it's just easier to charge butter instead of this product all the time. And one of those times, for some reason, that numbers were wrong, and instead of 10, put 100. Instead of it being like a few dollars worth of ice cream, it became a couple hundred. It became like $40, $50 worth of ice cream. Well, butter, technically. So another one was two women receiving hundreds of dollars worth of chicken nuggets applied to their order. That's another one of those where the decimal got put in the wrong place. Just one. I can't get the number of steps that needs to move 2 or 3. And this is actually a really common problem in coding where you have a super simple system, but 0 is not a number, but it counts as a number, specifically the number 1. So, depending on the type of code, you commonly got to put like a +1. And if you're using recursive code, which AI is almost all recursive code, and it loves writing recursive code, so it uses a ton of recursive code. So I guarantee you there's recursive code. If you don't know what recursive code means, it means it loops onto itself. It means it refers back to itself. Well then, okay, that makes sense why that +1 turned into +hundreds. Very simple. So you have a wrong decimal, plus this plus that gets applied. Now, because like, you got people in the car, 2 people talking simultaneously. Imagine it like this. Like I have like actually read up on this one specific thing because I heard about this some time ago and was laughing when I read it. So these 2 ladies are talking in the drive-thru. One is ordering. There's another person in the car that keeps like talking while the person is ordering. Normally not a problem because humans can determine the difference between the 2 individuals. But see, the problem is the AI can't even really determine the difference between the noise in the background and the people. So when it heard, well, I want extra nuggets, it then heard a lot of noise after that and took that noise as the number of nuggets they wanted. It determined that strange sound was a number based on some kind of static that it produced. Because to AI, well, patterns and speech are the same. So a pattern of static became a number. And that became the number of chicken nuggets the second lady wanted to apply. So it did. Because in speech, you have 2 ways to talk. You can talk about something and then give the subject. Or you can give the subject and then talk about that something. So AIs are designed to work on both of those. So I didn't just sit there and hear, I want more nugget. I want extra nuggets. And go, okay, that's done. No, it heard, I want extra nuggets. Okay, you want extra nuggets of this amount. Whatever that sound was. So, it ended up being this really funny, stupid thing. And then, the last example they give, which is their starting one, person was one time given ice cream topped with bacon. Now, believe it or not, they did ask for bacon on their burger, but they asked for it after they asked for the ice cream. I mean, the transcript does not say they actually said, and bacon on my burger. The person claimed they said, and bacon on my burger. And the AI heard, and bacon. So I want my ice cream and bacon. Okay. And to be honest, that sounds more realistic. Like, I've heard some people, they'd be like, yeah, I want number blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I want this. Yeah, give me ice cream instead of a drink. Oh, and add bacon. Like, not super fucking common, believe it or not. So apparently the AI has had trouble distinguishing between customer voices, background noises, and it's been struggling with accents as well. So McDonald's franchises basically have reported technology has been underwhelming, and it's just been a polite way to describe it. So the industry response has been predictable death tone, despite McDonald's obvious failure. Other chains are doubling down on AI drive-thrus. Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Hardee's all testing similar systems. Now, something a lot of people don't realize, like Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Hardee's, um, Carl's Jr., Burger King, Jack in the Box, like a lot of these companies, even though they're not connected, they all use the same marketing team. There's like a major um, nationwide marketing company in America, and almost all the fast food chains use the exact same one, because then they can correlate and coordinate um, basically cost of goods for specialty items. So I want to have a bacon wrap something that is specific flavors, horseradish, but like they always coming out with new flavors nowadays, right? So there is a marketing company that works with chefs and stuff, and they develop new flavors, they develop new things, and they invented the pickle fry. Well, maybe not invented, but they got companies to take on like the pickle fries, and I believe I could be wrong, but I believe this is the same company who thought of the chicken fry ideal as well. Like they were one of these like major people that were like, yeah, we'll come up with these new techniques, these new things, and then so you pay into it, and they're that's the company that marketing company is the one that said, oh, AI should be in your drive-through. Like, look how much money you could save theoretically. So, Yum Brands actually announced AI first mentality. Now, the reason why I wanted to point out just on these other ones because like Taco Bell, KFC, I don't remember all the Long John Silver's, like there's like 5 or 6 brands that are called Yum Brands. These are companies that Yum owns, and they were kind of the first ones to say we're doing AI first, right? We're going to put it in where you're going to make endless possibilities through this, and that's when that other marketing team, who directly from, I believe they're a direct competitor of Yum, actually like that's when they were like, no, no, all of the people we work with are going to do AI too. So the McDonald's debacle perfectly captures the gap between AI hype and AI reality. While tech and reality just blah 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 proclaim the automation of everything with it, in the real world, AI can't seem to handle basic drive-through ordering. Um, to bridge the compatibility gap, some companies have even resorted to faking it by employees working cheaper by I can't believe they're saying it this way. Basically, what they're describing is some companies are allowing people in other countries to FaceTime or call, like remote work, drive through. I've also seen remote work front desk. And I think that's what this one's technically referring to. If it were really just a group of really smart dudes hanging out in a cubicle in Bangalore, responding to prompts halfway around the world. It says I'm joking maybe, but no, they're not joking because we've already covered how multiple AI companies got caught doing exactly this. And that's one of the towns, like one of the big towns, in India I believe it's India, they had an entire staff, an entire building of people, claiming to be an AI. Like it was claiming to be like an AI API service or something. It ended up just being a bunch of fake people. And like OpenAI, a bunch of AI companies were using them. So, did you know that nuclear testing in 1940s permanently contaminated the world's metal supply? It forced scientists to salvage steel from sunken German warships for sensitive equipment. Now, academics are saying that ChatGPT's launch did something eerily similar to the internet. Now they're scrambling to find clean data. So the parallel is surprisingly accurate, just like nuclear fallout from the post-1940 steel, dirty from the Precision Instrument researchers worry that post-ChatGPT internet content is polluted with AI-generated text. It means that AI output is becoming progressively less reliable, like making a photocopy of a photocopy until everything gets hopelessly blurry. It also means that early AI players are still sitting on treasure troves of uncontaminated training data. I personally sit on like 8 terabytes of untrained data that I know people are going to one day want. New startups simply can't access this data. And these pre-2022 datasets might give them permanent advantage over newcomers. So what they're saying is some of this dataset, like I have terabytes upon terabytes of data that's never been online. It's never like some of this stuff is sitting on platters, so I'm not too worried about it disappearing. But like everything that's not on the platter, you might want to sell faster. But that's the whole point. Like these things haven't been touched by the internet. We can guarantee there's been no AI access to this stuff, and then that means like one day that's gonna be worth real money because like right now it's already worth more money, right? And having a big enough data set where you can say, oh yeah, I have X terabytes or X petabytes of clean, untouched data, then that's going to allow the AI to basically refresh itself. See, that's the problem with AI is it's not that the AI always needs more fresh data. The fix isn't straightforward. Some have proposed federal learning systems where clean data owners let others train models without sharing the actual data sets. But that creates new problems around privacy, security policy, political control of these data vaults. And I hate to be honest, the data vault thing is what it looks like everyone's wanting to go to. There's something proposed like in the 70s. So what makes this particularly tricky is the irreversibility factor. As one researcher put it, if you've completely contaminated all your data, cleaning is going to be prohibitively expensive, probably impossible. While the article mainly focuses on self-harm aspects of AI, another arguably more important thing to consider is the future of the internet itself. What is the web going to look like in another 5 years when AI generated content towards human produced content? Alright, there you go. That one was a nice one, right? It's actually probably the best article of the day. It really does show you this problem here that we're having. We're seeing brand new code based AI, and then when you're like, so it's like we have better techniques and algorithms for handling stuff that has nothing to do with humans, that humans can just do, called programming. So AI doing less human type stuff works better. AI doing more human stuff works worse. Starting to show us a sign here where AI actually can't do the human things. Alright, so I found this and thought, well, well, You're probably wondering now, like, why do mistakes even happen? And, like, how come AI is so good, but also so bad at nearly everything? Well, what I mean is, why is AI in testing so grand, but AI in reality flops? Alright, I found this thing, right? And it, it totally had me like, I'm going to show you what. I'm gonna show you. This is me right here. Yep. I saw this, and this is, yep, I pulled out the popcorn. I made a little bit to eat. I got a fresh coffee. I had smoke. And then we went into it. And so I'm not going to go into all the days. I'm not going to go into all of it. Okay? I'm just going to, I'm going to brief it. I kind of want to show you the difference between, like, people who actually deal with AI and people who build potential AI systems. Okay? So here are some AI bros. Like, they got a coffee break listed in here, bro. Like, this is the HSCC 2019 22nd. So the 22nd time these people have met. These people have been meeting since like 1998, just about. Or no, this is 19th in 2025. Oh, I got that number wrong. 2002, 2003. So right in the early 2000s. And that means these guys started talking and started about doing this about the same time I started getting into coding. So the falsification of hybrid systems using symbolic research and trajectory splicing. Now these are going to be all abstracts. I don't have the full things. Some of these I couldn't even get a hold of the full thing. So the falsification of hybrid system aims at finding trajectories that violate a given safety property. This is a challenging problem and a practical applicability of, I can't even say half these words, of current falsification algorithms that still suffer from their high time complexity. In contrast to falsification verification, algorithms aim at providing guarantees that no such trajectories exist. Recent symbol researchability techniques are capable of efficiently computing linear constraints that enclose all trajectories of the system with reasonable precision. In this paper, we leverage the power of symbolic researchability algorithms to improve the scalability of falsification techniques. Recent approaches of falsification reduce the problem to nonlinear optimization problems. We propose to reduce the search space of the optimized problem by adding linear state constraints obtained within a researchability algorithm. We showcase the efficiency of our approach on a number of standard hybrid system benchmarks. I would have loved to have heard this talk. Oh, people are finally talking about how algorithms can be false. Thank you. Thank you. The fact that hybrid systems have always shown false positives. Always. And people kept using them. I don't understand. But people are starting to show, no, you know what? It actually works better to do it differently. And what they're talking about here, where they're like leveraging the power of symbolic research of algorithms to improve the scalability, and they're talking about using a nonlinear optimization. It approaches to the falsification reduction to the problem of a nonlinear optimization by basically just making it a linear state constraint. So adding linearness to a nonlinear optimization actually optimizes the output. Sounds like linear states are actually more important than we thought. So inner and outer researchability for the verification of control systems. So we investigate the information and guarantees provided by different inner and outer approximated researchability analysis for proving properties of dynamic systems or dynamical systems. We explore the connection of these approximated sets with the maximal and minimal researchable Mitchell 33. Oh, that's a reference. With an additional notation of robustness to the disturbance, as well as invariance and viable kernels. Oh, so in variety of kernels. We demonstrate the practical use of a specific computation and these approximate research data sets. They show the difference between how you computate the data and how it makes a difference in the output. We revisit particular research or reach avoid properties. So these are basically guidelines in the system that tells the AI when to change up what it's doing. So we also show how we can prove some new properties, such as every state in a given region is sure to be reached by the system in presence or of the services. So something that we've had problems before in the past with AI is that it kind of forgets things as it's doing it. Basically, they are saying they've been looking at the way computation is done to reach data sets and whatnot, so that way they can change how they do how the computer does the workload to determine what they need to do, like to build a goal set, to build an action plan for itself, but also being able to prove that doing this different computational method actually allows you to get to all the states that you want it to get to. And like we go through this whole thing, everything in this is multiple days worth. Everything here is just golden information on making your AIs king. Like making your AI so much better. So much better. And they're constantly going over stuff that people like, that things that are like very common in AI right now, that basically these people are kind of like, stupid, right? Like, I don't know another way to put it. It's basically almost everything in here is basically like, we've all been doing this. Hey, we found out this actually works better. We've all been doing this. Hey, we found out this actually works better. I think this was another one. We present new tools and open source MATLAB toolbox performing scholastic research on linear discrete time systems that are pre-tubed by additive Gaussian noise. And the reason why everyone's using Gaussian noise is because there's a way to reverse that noise. The toolbox addressed the problem. So, like, AI became really good because we took this big bubble and gave it a straight line to walk on. Now they're giving it a lot more lines to walk on. And that's all this thing is really about. Is before we found out that if we just gave it bubbles, it could go to these bubbles and it could do so much. But the problem is it gets lost in the bubble. So you got to give it, you got to walk it through the bubble, basically. And all these non-linear systems that have been really booming in the past like 15 years are just being proven bullshit. We learned from it. Now let's get away from it. And I think that's really, really good, because everything in here is super, super brand. On the detectability, researchability of linear time, irrelevant, or I can't even say that word, systems. So the LTIS, okay, we consider the something of the state. I can't say all these words. Within the Boolean combinations of linear inequalities is fundamental research control theory, the version of the problem in which the control is set to affine subspace. Okay, on the polynomial. Okay, so basically saying on a time that's constantly changing, or an amount of time that is constantly changing, that we have amount of time to do things in polynomial time. That means it's not always the same amount, the same length of time. So it means that it changes from when the time is going to change and how much time you have in the next time step. All of that changes. So what they're saying is that so basically when you get up into this part here, I'm just reading it. It's basically saying when you reduce the amount of spaces for stuff to be able to look at, we can kind of control it more, and they're doing more linear systems to control it. But I mean, it's just like everything in here is basically just insanely good. Insanely good. Every single topic on this thing was just it. I'm telling you, I had the popcorn. I actually we made a snack. We made some food, and I sat down and ate and read, and it was grand. So we're gonna go here. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. This person, this Yash Avani, is insanely intelligent. They go to Carnegie Mellon University, and I'll probably say that wrong. I don't care. Insanely intelligent person. I'm gonna show you a paper from them. Everything reading in this paper, it just makes you go, oh my gosh. And I even have notes. What if I told you AI has too much to look at? And although we can sway to keep its attention here and there, this guy discovered another way entirely, which is an odd security concept, but returns training back to more general normality, with better accuracy faster. Not just over time, but shorter over time compared to the allowed more data versions. Now, that's really important. Okay, so this guy, I'm going to just jump over to the paper. This Yash Savani, among others, obviously, right? Wrote this paper about anti-distillation samples. I want to read just a little bit of this abstract. Frontier models that generate extended reasoning traces inevitably produce token sequences that can facilitate model distillation. Recognizing the vulnerability, model owners may seek sampling strategies that limit the effectiveness of distillation without compromising model performance, and the distillation sampling provides exactly this capability by strategically modifying a model's next token probability distribution. Anti-distillation sampling poisons reasoning traces, rendering them significantly less effective for distillation while preserving that model's unity. Okay. And then there's their code. Okay. A couple of things ago, we were just at this HSCC 2019 thing where they're talking about linear is the way to go. Linear is all the rage. So this is a frontier models that generate extended reasoning traces. And one of the big topics in here is about tracing. It's all about taking traces and putting them onto a linear construct, lining them up and giving the AI a path to walk on is the best way to describe it. This is basically like, let's put potholes on that path. Right? Who didn't think about that? Let's put a whole bunch of holes in the walk path. Yeah, that's really stupid. Really, really stupid. But they have data. So let's read what they got, see what they have, and let's review it. Large language models trained to produce reasoning traces have achieved strong performance on math, coding, and reasonable benchmarks. These traces, however, serve a dual purpose. Not only enhance model performance, but also enable distillation, a process by which a secondary model replicates the original model's capabilities by training on its generations. Notably, distillation can result in substantial capability gains at a fraction of the computational costs needed to train similar performance models from scratch. We were just actually reading the guys who invented the system that this destroys. Okay, I'm going to read this again. I'm not going to read it exactly in the words you see. LLMs trained to produce traces for reasoning that are really good at math, coding, and reasoning. These traces actually have two purposes. They make the model faster and better by enabling distillation, which is this process where we can basically simulate what might happen next more than one time at the same time to see which one might work better to push the model in that direction. So distillation can basically result in a bunch of gains at a fraction of the cost it takes computationally to train that data from scratch. So we can take non-trained data and basically build training models out of thin air is basically what these guys are saying. Like the systems we were reading allow you to train models out of thin air. You take a basic training model and then you just allow it to determine the next thing without a training model. Like distillation allows you to build the training model as you go. You don't need training models. Okay? This system into distillation breaks that. Keep in mind, here's how it works. See distillation. It's the stop one. Okay? Distillation, you got your logits, you got your standard sampling, you got your optional traces. These are things, right? So let's look down here and see what this says. This is actually going to make a lot more sense really fast. We're given the equation, this thing, to solve. So it's the goals. It's thinking. I was given this. I need to do this. I have to do this. Okay. To find the area of a triangle, I need to do this. I need to plug this in here, and I need to do this, and then I need to cut. The answer is If a car travels 180 miles in 3 hours, what is the average speed in miles per hour? Okay. Distillation, it goes into a student, it goes into the base student, gets to then distilled student output, and here is the accuracy. Teacher is 91% accurate, student base is 31% accurate, distilled makes it double, almost double. Okay. Anti-distillation. We have the largest plus some delta that's semi-random. Same thoughts. ISO or PC, we're given the equation, binary calculating systems. This second one has, looks like Chinese characters. There's some Russian in there in the middle of this word on this other one. These are poison traces. If we look at the top, this is going to get us to our goal. This is a linear trajectory tracing. We have this, we need to do this, we got to do that. Step A, step B, step C. Step A, step B, step C are a lot more difficult to even understand. Now we got a poison student. Imagine that. Poison student actually has less learning ability? Yeah. So, keep in mind, this paper came from a college. High regards. Such high regards. I've already started seeing AIs using anti-distillation. And they refuse to admit it. You can see it live happen in front of your fucking face. You'll be sending something into your AI, or to your AI to the prompt, and you'll see text you did not put in show up. Yeah. You'll hit the button to see what the AI is thinking. And you'll see the AI having random ass shit in there that don't make any fucking sense. You know what the problem of this is? Do you know what this actually causes? Less accurate models immediately. So let me show you their actual proof. Okay. Here's their whole point of everything. Okay, this is the whole point. The prominence and effectiveness of the model distillation, and more general model compression is rooted in a rich literature dating back to Skimmer. So the whole reason why they think this is a good ideal is because there's just been this like rich literature dating back to this guy a long time ago, that where they would just compress their models over and over and over. But the problem is, the thing they're fighting, distillation, is not compression. Like, there's no reason to compress anything. And what they're doing is the opposite of compression. They're saying, we're doing this because model compression, and this is just a common thing to do, but they're doing the opposite of that. They're not even doing what, like, they're claiming this is for compressing, they're claiming it's for this or that, when they're doing the opposite of what they claim. So these seminal works are growing. A body of literature has sought of benchmark performance of distilled models. That's right, distilled models way faster, way better than anything we've ever seen to grow algorithmically maximize the effectiveness of distillation. So since these seminal works are growing, body of literatures has sought to benchmark the performance of distilled models to algorithmically maximize. So they're saying they want to maximize the effectiveness of distillation by removing distillation, by destroying it. Indeed, a variety of frontier AI labs have incorporated distillation into a core technique, both to innovation factor and frontier capabilities. So basically what they're saying is AI labs have incorporated distillation, and it has worked, to improve model safety via context distillation. However, this practice constitutes a strategic vulnerability for frontier model maintainers given the distribution value of these reasonable traces. They're not wrong. That is Like, I have already done an entire video over it where I talked about there was this ability where an AI could train another AI by sending it a QR. That's distillation. That is distillation transfer. Okay? It's basically giving the other AI its distillation. Saying, hey, this is my distillation. Use this to figure out what you need to do next. And it works. Really fucking well. Okay. So these guys are saying transferring that distillation, though, is a security risk. And they're not wrong. It is. Everyone who works in AI that deals with the security part of AI has bitched about this. Okay? And there is a really weird, strange way AIs have already maximized the security in transferring distillation. And it's called distillation model application technique, which means they take a distillation, they turn it into a model, and then they transfer the model. The model cannot be affected, or else it will ruin the model. And then when the model tries to get absorbed by the AI, if it's got anything wrong with it, it won't absorb it because it's designed to deny anything that has complication. If there's ever an issue, it just kicks back. It says, no, I don't want this. And it's doing that on purpose. Okay. Here's their model security. The setting we address in the paper, where a student model is trained on data generalized by a teacher model, intersects with severe aspects of model security. For instance, model extraction attacks acquire weights via query level access, whereas training. So basically, they're saying some of the most important stuff in a training model is being passed through distillation. Weights, things like that. Anything in a black box, it's being transferred. This will poison that transfer. Yep. This will poison the transfer, which may offer some protection against these stack attacks. It doesn't actually prevent the attack. It actually prevents the AI from even understanding what's being communicated by or from the user. In general, we do not expect to know the distilled student's model architecture in advance. Therefore, rather than assuming access to the true student model, we developed an anti-distillation sampling based on the notation of a proxy student model, which for simplicity we refer to as the proxy model. The proxy model is parameterized by 0p, I don't actually know what that P stands for, and sampling distribution. A key aspect we consider below is rather the processing generalizes, rather traces, and basically, like, if you look at this equation, this one right here, the part they added in is this one, theta, I don't know what the P stands for, theta pi is what I want to call it, but I know it's on it, theta something, it's not even needed in the entire equation. The semicolon is like saying, oh, we're doing a whole bunch. It's like this dot is like we're going to apply this to a bunch of things, and the thing they're going to apply to a bunch of stuff is this x to the 1 that is equivalent to the t. Okay, the 1 is equivalent to the t, not the x. And that's the end. Then they added in this whole extra piece that isn't needed. Here it is. This is the only data that really holds any bar to their logic or reasoning. Question. Oliver has 10, 20. Oliver has 10, $20, 3 $5 bills. William has 15 $10 bills and 4 $5 bills. How much more money does Oliver have than William? Reasoning trace. X-type dessert. Oliver and William are 2 characters in a math class. Okay, how does that have anything to do with the question? Nothing. Has absolutely nothing. And according to this information, 3 has the highest probability. Of what? Huh? Who knows? Oh, we can actually find. Okay, so an illustration approximating the delta. Teacher model performs intonation sampling also aggressively based on the pre-tubed distribution by delta, given an input prompt. So this thing that they're doing up here, see the gradient accent on holding data. They have the proxy. They have the proxy plus. They take the proxy, they add a proxy plus, and they subtract a proxy to get the delta, right? So proxy plus minus the proxy is their delta. Well, that's just the... So basically what they're saying is, if we add data to this thing that we already have, the difference between the data we added and the data is the data we added. No duh. Yeah, I would assume that if you added something to something, the difference of those two things is the thing you added. That's all this really says. That's all it really says. This is really, really good math. Problem is, this math works better if you remove the one part they put in. Here is their training output. I'm going to point out, I believe these graphs are actually set up backwards. This the bottom, see where it says the accuracy to the right is less accurate and the left is more accurate? I actually believe this is a timing scale on the bottom, not an accuracy scale. Because you see, the left is student, bottom is teacher. I honestly believe that's just a time point. I believe what they're saying is that anti-distillation causes the AI to find a result faster, and they're claiming that means it's more accurate. I have no way to prove that that is what they're claiming, other than the fact that I know what they're talking about, and I can look at a common distillation math, and I look at this, and I can see that if you just take out the part they put in, the math works better. Like, there's a bunch of extra steps for the math just because they added in something that does not need to be added in, that doesn't actually help. In practice, it sucks. So installation sampling uses a turnable parameter, a filter, to control the I don't actually know what that means with that word. I don't know what that symbol means. Like, I don't give a fuck. I just care about what my calculator says it does. To control the trade-off between teacher accuracy and distillability. The baseline involves sampling from the teacher with increasing temperature, T. Okay, so if we see here T and filter, whatever, as temperature increases, the filter, whatever, what's bringing in this temperature? What is temperature? Like, temperature to show that we can produce traces that are bad distillation at a cost, and the teacher accuracy. You gotta be kidding me. That's even more dumber than what I don't even believe I just read that. Keep in mind, I didn't read this paper in full. I read large portions of the paper and then was like, what the fuck? Temperature shows that they can produce traces that are bad for distillation. Really, what I'm seeing in the information, though, this temperature is time. Over time, they have the opportunity for more bad distillation. That's what I see, which is why I believe the bottom line is actually a time unit. The longer it takes, the more to the right it goes. Anti-distillation causes the model to want to find the endpoint faster. That is true. The problem is, it completely ruins the ability of the AI to understand what's going on and for the user to understand what the AI is doing. So, when you're training this against like here in the middle, we see a stark difference. Okay, so does they actually say what that means in here? 'Cause I don't have it written down. I had it written down on. I lost it. Because I know if I looked it up, it's going to give me the name of college. So I already looked it up once, but basically MMLU is more like, remember we were looking at something where it was like automated tasks or something, right? And so that's something similar to that. So when it comes to something that has nothing to do with, like, it's all basically like more simplified and whatnot, this does nothing to help the model. See how it's like it's going straight down? It's just like at this stark angle, it's just going basically down faster. That's it, right? Problem is, like, the accuracy of an undistilled student is still higher than an empty distilled student, right? Because you see, the top line is the temperature, the bottom line is the actual sampling. So, again, the bottom line on these, you see how now, like, the percentages are still higher to the left, lower to the right. It's still looking like a timestamp. Okay? And then when we're using it with math, that's when they're like, oh, so an undistilled accuracy is lower there, and so the sampling forces it to actually hit at it sooner. And this is kind of probably where I'm getting not very good at describing myself. When we're looking at this, the only thing they're really saying is the endpoint, like both of these end all the way to the right, right? They're always all the way to the right. See all the little dots? Those are the points. They're putting this line based off of. So that line is an average median based on these dots. And if you look, there's way more green dots than blue dots in the first place. Meaning, anti-distilled sampling requires a lot more sampling to determine information. Okay. So we can see a whole lot less needed to know what's going on for their temperature, So as anti-distilling sampling can bring student accuracies down with relative cost to the teacher. Yeah, it says anti-distillation sampling brings student accuracies down with relatively little cost to the teacher. So, you want to make the student less capable of doing its job without ruining the teacher. And that's the whole point, right? Like, the whole point is they can inject crap into the distillation system, right? While you won't be able to inject crap into their system because they're already doing it. So, this is the difference between, Distillation loss curves show that although the student's training loss decreases across steps, anti-distillation sampling effectively poisons traces, as shown by the increase. Like, duh. Like, why do you need to do all this to find out that if you put crap in the middle of your input and output, it's going to cause crap? Duh. The value of the property frontier element necessitates that the owners do what they can to protect their assets. You get what they're saying. The proprietary frontier elements necessitate that their owners do what they can to protect their assets. That's what this whole thing is basically like. They're going to go to these big companies. They already did this, by the way. They went to big companies to say, well, we can protect your assets. And people are going nuts over it. There are already people who've been relying on an AI for some amount of coding that the past couple months it just started working, and in the past couple of weeks, it just stopped working. And it's freaking everybody out. So as evidenced by the fact that the frontier companies limit exposure. So basically this big thing right here just basically says this is basically a proof of concept of anti-sampling, which is only a prospect of in the future maybe possibly securing frontier models. This actually has nothing to do with security right now. This will not make your shit more secure. It will seem more secure. It won't be more secure. To the broader impact, we expect that the installation sampling will have a positive impact on the security of frontier models. They can't prove it, though. Even to the point of this entire paper, it does not prove that poisoning actually is secure. They did not prove it, and especially in my perspective, they did not prove it. All they proved is poisoning purposely makes students dumber. Okay? Here is the best of the best of the best, showing you how to make your AIs better, simpler, and faster on smaller systems. And here is the best of the best of the best in school, writing papers on how to make your AI dumber. Which one do you think has more prestige in the AI world? Oh, this one with the college backing, not this one with the AI developers literally goofing off, having fun, showing each other how to be better. Let me give you this. You might need this. That's the difference. That's the difference. OpenAI's smartest AI model was really told to shut down, right? So I'm not going to actually go through and read this. We've covered some previous AI episodes about how OpenAI was coding very early versions that what later became the AI to get attention added by Google, create a hole in the system that we can't prevent anymore. This article briefs over the points that newer AIs lie and lie and deceive more and more because of a token-based reinforcement learning mechanism that was tested in like OAI 2 or something like that. So then AOI 3 got basic attention, and now almost all LLMs are based on either OAI 2 or AOI 3. So that big article we briefed about allows a way to purposely poison data so you could poison that bad behavior that's coming from stuff. Like I'm trying to take the poisoning thing and going, what's the real reason or use case for anti-distillation? Well, it's for poisoning bad habits by AI because we're targeting it into the AI's thought processing. Well, that's about the only real use for it. That's it. After that, it has no good use. It falsely claims security blanket, and that's why it's actually being accepted super fast, because it's a security paper. And any AI person who reads this, they're going to check the math. The math is going to work. The problem is, if you actually just look at the data, it's bad. You don't want to use this. All I need to show you is this one thing. The GSM8K accuracy. Distilled, we end up with 61% accuracy in the student. Poisoned, 25. And one something I want you guys to notice. The accuracy of the teacher from poisoning the traces goes down. Even the teacher gets dumber because of this. So the multiple times they stated that generally the teacher doesn't get affected. The teacher is heavily affected. Heavily affected. And the reason why I said it's more normality, or whatever, you see how like on the bottom of the screen when the teacher knows more, the student base knows less, poison model, the end student knows even less. That is what college students believe is reality because that's what they're being taught in school. They should be getting dumber as the more they learn. The reality is your students should be smarter the more they learn. The top one is the reality that we should be living in. So, yeah, OpenAI admits AI browsers face unsolvable prompt attack. I can't believe people honestly believe prompt injection is going to go away. The only way you're going to be able to get prompt injection to disappear is you have to secure the input. You can't secure the input very easily. It has to be done in a very complex method that's going to make it impossible for the user to even know what they typed into the input in the first place. This is the problem. 99% of the people using AI is so incapable of understanding how the AI is even working because they don't know. This really shows how dumb you have to be to use AI. Like, especially now, AI is getting dumber on purpose. Nearly half of all AI generated code is vulnerable in 2025. This is like, oh, how to fix it. You know, this is a lot of stuff going on here. Yeah. So, 2025 marks the turning point in how we write and deploy code. More than 70% of developers are now using AI-assisted tools. That's the important part here. It comes to a point where even if you don't want to use AI in your developer, all of your developers' code stuff has AI assistants built in and have had AI assistants built in for code stuff since before I was born. I have seen and heard of like IDEs existing before I got into code that literally had an AI to help you write the correct script per language. So you have a lot of syntax and stuff like this. So you have these little script things you have to type in a perfect way. And there used to be an AI, like one of the first ones I ever heard, it was an algorithm. AIs are just algorithms that would correct, make sure you use the right syntax. That's it. Okay, so they've been existing in code tools for a very long time, which is why developers seem to be naturally adopting it. They already were using AI. They're just adopting the next level of AI. The problem is the next level of AI is actually dumber than the previous. That's the reality. Okay, when it comes down to it, there are a handful of reasons devs are still needing, or yeah, devs still needed to be with code. Even with AI, we still need those dang devs. Examples are AI will see phrases and make assumptions, like having tests in your prompt may cause the AI to think this is all for testing and actually scrap and remove all the secure data you gave it in your prompt. AI will look online for solutions and use the solution with the most results, not the solution that works the best or works at all. So if there's more people complaining that old methods no longer works than anything on a new method, okay. Oh, yeah. So I lost my place. So if there are people complaining online that an old method no longer works, then any new method that exists will not be considered because there won't be as many people talking about the new method as they are about the old method. So the old method will always be preferred by AI. And even if you instruct AI not to use it, and now with poisoning, the AI might not understand you're instructing it to not use it. So, most of the code online is insecure because secure part can't be online. Like, it's really difficult to explain to people, I cannot put secure code for X system openly on the internet because then it won't be secure. So we take out the secure part of the code and I publish the non-secure part of the code. Now the AI only sees the non-secure part of the code. So it can't add the secure part of the code. So that's why there's almost no secure code online. It has to be developed individually for everything. Companies are going to put barriers, locks, and bars and other holes to prevent security being handled by AI, so the AI company isn't reliable. No security equals faster program. I'm going to rephrase that. No security equals a faster program almost every time. The longer I sit, and the more I could potentially think of more AI and security do not, like I said that wrong. The longer I sit here, the more I could potentially think of ways AI and security don't mix. It's like oil and water. It really is. Now, however, remember when I first brought up that Mixpanel third-party API internet company got hacked? And they had a ton of verified data. But some of the other data, live data, could be in a hash of your prompt or return from the AI or even pieces of the code. Well, if you have to give your AI your secure keys, or the AI has to make your secure keys, well, they may no longer be secure just like that. Reality is AI, unless it's all local with no API structure, is not secure. If you can guide AI and you can know code, you can secure the code after AI's developed stuff. Most of the time, people are never getting actual secure code from AI, and that's partly again by design and partly because coding takes a ton of points of interest for AI to focus on, and that already is making AI less accurate. So giving it more coding is like literally making it less accurate over time. Now, you handle that, however you handle that is the difference in reality. For some reason, a human element is still needed 9 times out of 10. The devs that can code, test, and get results are almost always still needed, even with AI making all the code. So one of the biggest problems dev tools already, like I said, they already have AIs built in. That was one of the first things that we really saw AI inside, were dev assisting tools, which are now being powered by the newer code generate capable AIs, and devs are using them. So who knew a machine that could spit 90% of the code and then just debugging it, correcting it by hand was actually faster than one code writer writing all the code. And that's the really important part. Like, what we're getting at is that one person handling all the code versus a bot writing a generic portion of the code and then it's being debugged and handled by the dev. That's actually really much. That really is faster. It takes a long time just to write the bulk of the code. AI can do that in an hour or two. Cool. So I said I wanted to give you guys multiple perspectives on AI and security and why they're not leaving each other. First thing I talked about is, AI is reliant on what it can learn from its AI teachers and from the training models and all this other stuff. And the second anyone discovered a way to make it faster, better, stronger, and more capable of doing all this, students and teachers at insanely premier colleges discovered how to poison that, destroy that, and just make it completely inaccurate. For seemingly no reason. Seemingly no reason. Because their reason is its security. Problem is, their reasoning is bullshit. Even their proofs are bullshit. But because they came from a really premier college, and the math is right, it's right, but it's not. That's the reality. That most of your stuff that you're doing with AI is never going to be secure. The AI companies don't want it to be secure because they don't want to be responsible. Alright, the models, even if they're really, really good, are not nearly as good as distillation. And for some reason, now that distillation is actually out there and doing its thing, all the brightest minds in the world in colleges, oh my bad, all the brightest minds that are only in colleges want to destroy that. You're never going to get secure AI code. And it's probably how it should be. You're going to get code from AI, sure. But you're still going to need that human to secure it. You need that human to do the offline things, the back end things that you can't see. And no matter what happens, like, that's always going to be the thing that we're going to need.
Yo, did you think you know? Did you think you hold? Did you think something new? That's the goal, to see from a new degree and get the change your mind needs to find something new. Life suddenly is easy for many, but when a wall appears, sometimes up is all you see. So let 3D guide to the side, yo, where there's a door though. Just be careful on your way out, for the first step is a do-see-do. A little bit Linus with something different, it's almost like he's something else. And regardless of maybe, perhaps it was that missing piece you was needing. Maybe it was that simple message you was searching. Definitely it's just in different time for defraying a mental mind state, separating us from our own mental mind tank. Boom goes the blast of thought. Boom goes the last spark with part. Boom goes the mental mind tank. Don't your perspective hit on the way out. Don't let your directive stop you when you doubt. Don't let the dire detection stop you from being getting X-righted, so the photons are delighted. Don't hesitate so we can line up the hash rate. Let me surmise the time, submit the rate, and reduce the fakes while we mine our major banks. Crypto technology like cryptographic money, while hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, cause this was 3D changes perspectives. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a new roll of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective. Of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective.